So I'm a writer first and foremost. When I started writing, when I went to grad school, I wanted to learn how to write memoir and personal essay, and I was driven to write about my story, to first understand myself and what had happened in a particular chapter of my life, and to make sense of it and to make it readable for an audience. I wanted to have it published. I wanted to be on, the Oprah show. I had all the fantasies that every writer has, right? They're fantasies for a reason. They're super common too. And one of the things that I learned when we were sitting in memoir class, and was usually a workshop of about 12 people, and we would write stuff and we would present it to the class, and the class would analyze it and talk about how to make the story better, how to make the story more readable. And, if we ever started talking about publishing, the professors would say, look, don't be talking about publishing. We're here to learn craft. We're here to learn how to tell a good story. And one of the things that I learned in these workshops is you have just like no idea what people have suffered. I didn't. I think the only understanding of the capacity for human cruelty and suffering and indignity, maybe psychologists, maybe cops, maybe UN workers or NGO workers who meet people who have suffered unimaginable things. And in this Harvard class, there were people who had overcome and risen above just horrific sexual abuse and rapes and betrayals. And I would sit in the class and I would weep for these people. But then we would get going and they would have to write, and people forgot. They took off their, oh my God, how can you not feel for this person? And they put on their, how do we make this writing sing on the page? How do we tell this story? What details do we need to be in that moment? When do we need to come out of that moment so we have some relief? Because we can't stay in those horrific moments with anybody that long, or the book gets put down. People can't handle it. Like, remember that movie Precious, maybe, where the lead character is telling Mariah Carey, who's digging for information, like, you can't handle it. You can't handle it. So people can't handle the story. The story has to be shaped so your reader can handle it, right? So there's the writer, there's the human, and there's also the publisher. So people come to me and they want to publish their book. Sometimes they come to me and they know that they need content development, and they're looking for somebody to help, and they see how it's going to affect their business. They see how they need somebody to really help them write and tell their story, and to tell enough of their story, and then the lessons that they mean to teach in order to draw in their ideal clients. And there are those who come to me thinking that I've gotten into the traditional publishing agency, and maybe I can get them a connection for their memoir, even though it's not done, even though they haven't written much. It's like, no, I can't. Or that I'm going to be so charmed or astounded by their story, I'm going to say, forget my business model altogether. Like, bring me your story and I'm going to do it for you. It's not how it happens, right? Because yes, as a human being, I feel it. I have nothing but admiration for people who overcome just like horrible things. And as a writer, I certainly have this great desire. A writer and editor is, how do we shape this? Let me help you shape this. Let me do this with you. And that's how I got in this business, right? But as a publisher, I don't go there, because unless it has the nexus for business, usually the amount of time that goes into a memoir is longer than most people really want to go for. So it just doesn't make sense typically to work with somebody like me on a memoir. We usually do that in workshops. We usually do that in conjunction with a group of people just to make it cost effective, right? Publishers, traditional publishers, would be interested in your story if you have a beautiful, well-written manuscript that allows the reader to triumph with you. And that craft, that's the stuff of workshops, grad school workshops and community workshops and workshops. And the other part that they're looking for is that people know who you are and people are going to spread it word of mouth, or that your story is so hot on the headlines right now that they will work with you because they want to capture this moment in time. But I'm talking like, you know, you live next door to the latest serial killer on Long Island, and they want to know your long story about your interactions with this person in the headline. And short of that, it's a lightning strike. It's a conversation at a writer's workshop. It's a conversation, not with me. If you're going to write memoir, you got to settle in and work the craft. And you got to either put time into it, and I'm talking years, or you got to work with somebody. You've got to work in conjunction with a workshop local or at a university level, or you got to hire it. You got to hire it because otherwise, or you got to self-publish. There's no crime in self-publishing, right? Write your story, self-publish the story, and you know, maybe it takes off, right? Maybe it takes off. Some bolt of lightning hits you and you're one of the lucky ones.